Joining us now from our San Francisco affiliate, KRON, is Dr. Kinsey Goman, a management consultant who's the author of The Loyalty Factor, Building Trust in Today's Workplace. Dr. Goman, isn't it foolish for any worker these days to expect the old-fashioned loyalty from an employer?
Sure, the old-fashioned loyalty is definitely dead. The problem is that few organizations have taken the time to develop parameters around what the new loyalty is.
You're also in favor of worker retraining programs, but companies will quickly answer, hey, one of the reasons we got in trouble in the first place is that we couldn't afford all the things we were doing. We can't add another layer of cost to this.
Well, training is one of those things I think you're going to see back in the bottom line in very substantial ways. If part of the New Deal is that you can't give me job security, then I need to have employability security. So train me with personal and professional growth opportunities and career counseling that will make me a better employee here and also set me up for future jobs in this or the next organization.
Her client list includes Pepsi, Westinghouse, DuPont, and AT&T. Her service, energizing workers.
The name of your book is This Isn't the Company I Joined.
Yeah.
Who did you write this book for?
For everybody. Every audience I've ever addressed, that's one of the questions I ask. I will give them a series of questions about how much change is going on in their life, and they'll respond with raised hands. And then I get to this last question. I say, how many of you realize that the company you're with is not the company you joined? And after a beat, while people take stock, every hand in every audience around the industrialized world goes up. Therefore, I thought these people need to be addressed.
You talk about making employees change adept.
Yes.
Is that a function of skill or age, or which employee would be more change adept?
Well, I did a study of about 1,000 people internationally and found that it wasn't age, it wasn't gender. I thought it would be women that would be change adept, but it wasn't. It was simply those people who had 5 characteristics: confidence, challenge, which is optimism; coping, which is an ability to deal emotionally and well with the kind of stress that's in change; counterbalance, which is having a life external to work; and creativity, that ability to solve problems or even anticipate problems in a creative way. Those qualities need to be developed in an organization so that the entire organization is change adept.
So how did we get to this point? What has happened in the last few years that has changed all this?
Almost everything. Probably the major 3 things are globalization, which has tied markets and opened markets. But we're now so wedded to one another that the economy anywhere in the world affects us instantly. And technological advances, which are so rapid that you and I both know we can't buy a product and get it home before it's obsolete. And the third thing is probably the social values that have changed. People just want different things out of their careers and out of their lives.
So that means then that as employees, our expectations have kind of changed as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Both sides of the compact has changed. If you ask people what they want from an organization, actually, lifetime retention is way down on the list. I mean, it may sound good, but most people would rather be paid well and have honest communication and be given some respect and appreciation and allowed to grow in their jobs and be creative, even more than they want to be, have a job forever.
As a manager, you have to find the people who you can trust, and that can be quite a feat as well.
It can be, but we try to hire the best and brightest, and then we treat them as they're brain dead, in some instances. There was a book in the 80s called I'm Okay, You're Okay,
Sure.
And I often thought if we were going to rewrite it today, it would be I'm okay, we're not so sure about you. Because we know we need the truth, we can handle it, but we're not so sure about those people who report to us.
And a lot of those people are going to be moving as the economy turns. And
yes.
You're going to see situation managers are going to have a real problem retaining people that they've spent so much money to train.
That's right. And people that haven't been trusted, that haven't had those collaborative environments, whose ideas haven't really been listened to and utilized, are going to be right out the door with all those good ideas going to a competitor.
So what would you advise if you're a manager in a situation where you're in this changing world? What would you do to try to maintain that?
First of all, there's that big culture and the little culture. Big culture is what the organization is. But if you walk into any company, one manager, one supervisor, one team leader, one boss creates a mini culture. So you have more power than you know. So it's up to you to build environments of trust, to get to know people, to get them to know people, to respect ideas, and to listen to everyone.
How many of you have noticed that the job you are doing has changed? How many of you have noticed that the company you work for is not the company you joined? Yeah. Every audience says the same thing. Change is so rapid that unless you joined this company 5 minutes ago, it's not the one you gave your commitment to. So every so often, it's really good to take a look around and say, this is how it is now. Do I want to be associated with this? Is this my company? And own it back again. Commit back to it because it is different. The ability to see change as an opportunity. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a Chinese ideogram, and it's the word crisis. And the upper character is the word danger, and the lower character is the word opportunity. Now, in any change, those two elements coexist. Some people look at the danger in change and they get fixated by it. And when you get fixated by the danger in change, what that means is you get paralyzed. Some people by nature, because they have a positive attitude, because change in the past has been good for them for a lot of reasons, will focus on the opportunities in change. And when you do that, you liberate energy and you focus on what could be, and you're much more likely to create that in your life.
You see, it's the awareness of your skills and your talents. It's not just your skills and your talents. It's where you focus your attention. So if you're focusing on all the things you don't have, or you're not doing well, or you're not doing right, or you need more help in, and that's your sole focus. And take a look at this. Is what managers do. This is what we train managers to do. They don't say, I've just seen you do something wonderful. Tell me about it. They say, there are a few things you're not doing well yet. Let's get you some training. Well, I don't mean that you don't need training, but what I mean is you are never going to be splendid, and you are never going to thrive on change by being mediocre and well-rounded. You're going to thrive on change by finding something that you do super well and learning how to do it even better. But it is a matter of learning and unlearning. When I was 4 years old, I took tap dancing lessons. And I took them for about 12 years, so until I was about 16. What would I be? 4 and 12, 6, okay. A few years ago, I thought, I need some more aerobic activity. I mean, I walk my dog, that's good, but I really need more aerobic activities. I looked in the newspaper, Berkeley, California, tap classes. Tap! This is good. I had 12 years of tap. I'll sign up for tap. I'll probably go in the advanced class. This is fine. Go there, I sign up. They don't put me in the advanced class. They don't put me in the intermediate class, and I don't even get into the beginning class. What I get in, I don't know what they called it. I called it the remedial class. Because in those ensuing decades, between the time I was 12 and now, I found out that tap was redefined by people like Xavier and Glover on Broadway. I don't know if any of you are tap experts, but if you are, people have learned to tap differently. And those cute little high-heel tap shoes that Ann Miller wore in movies, nobody's wearing those anymore. Even if you're a woman, you wear Oxford shoes that lace up, because the way you hold your leg, your ankle, to make a simple sound like a shuffle, a back and forward sound, totally different. Now, I would have been better off had I not been educated in tap earlier. If I'd come in new, it's why some people that are new on the job seem to do well with change. They don't have anything invested in the way we did it in the past. But the way I learned to dance in the past had to be totally unlearned before I could get in the beginning class. Finally, I am now in the intermediate class. Thank you very much.
What is a characteristic? Self-confidence. Give this lady a standing ovation. Self-confidence. Yay! Now, self-confidence is not only crucial, it's the thing I heard the most. One of the first people I interviewed was a man who at the time was the head of corporate communications for Bank of America, a man named Ron Rohde. Super guy, and turned out to be a very good friend of mine, but he was one of the first people that said, Carol, the key to handling change is confidence. You must be able to focus on your strengths. You must be aware of what it is you do best. And I thought, that makes such great sense. Now, if confidence is key to handling change and you're managing people through a change, what do they need to feel confident? What do they need from you? Support. Honesty. There you go. I think the number one thing they need, and this is probably going to be talked about ad nauseum today, so if you haven't heard about it enough, you will, is that people need to have
the real information.
Dr. Carol Kinsey Goman. Dr. Goman.
A few years ago, I was invited to give a speech at a program in which top management was rolling out their new corporate vision. Let me tell you, this was quite an event. Well, I opened the program. The chief executive officer followed me. Other top executives spoke. And then we all sat down and congratulated each other on a job well done. Well, luckily there was a break, because during the break, a friend of mine had been sitting in the audience, and he came up to me and he said, Carol, do you realize that we've sat in this audience for over 3 hours, and not one of you up there have said, how are we going to do that? Well, that's my focus for today. How are we going to do that? How are we going to communicate corporate vision to make it credible and alive, where employees at all levels walk the talk?
I do a lot of work with corporate communications departments and HR departments, so this was close to my heart when I found this out. And that is, for a long time, leaders believed that communication was something they said or something that was written. So they turned communication over to their speech writers, they turned communication over to HR, they turned communications over to corporate communications, only to find out that as this trust gap had widened and they had a higher and higher degree of skepticism in the audiences, people didn't believe what they read and people didn't believe what they heard, but they believed everything they saw. So we are backtracking to say communication now is behavior-driven, and it is the prerogative of every leader and every manager in the organization to understand how to be a communicator in words and in behavior.
The number one reason in my research and most other people's research that people don't share what they know is they believe that knowledge is power. So they're quite a bit like this little magpie. The magpie in the story is the miser. He's the archivist of the organization. He's the company savant. And his ego and his sense of worth is built by the number of times other people have to go to him for the information that he has. So he hoards that as if it were gold. Now, I've exaggerated all of these qualities with each character and pulled them out. Or there's probably a lot of people that are a mix of different things. But the miser and this belief that knowledge is power is so pervasive in our psyches, and I think it's because it started in school. If you and I were in a classroom and you had the answer that was going to be on a test and you gave it to me, you shared it with me, you gave me that knowledge, you have not only increased my chances for success, but you have pulled down yours, particularly if we are graded on the curve. So we have learned from a very early age that hanging on to knowledge can be very powerful. And then we have joined organizations all over the world that have rewarded that kind of behavior. Let me just close in by saying that I did say, that knowledge sharing happens automatically when the right people get together at the right time. I just want to tell you what a pleasure it has been addressing a room full of all the right people. Thanks.